All right, well, moving on, what else should we deal with here? Let me shift right mouse button and drag to rotate the lights a bit. And as I do, actually, I'm noticing, look at here, we've got this spring right here, this shock absorber, and it's much darker than all of the others. So if we take a look at these two right here, you can see that this one's kind of that tan color, and this one's got a lot of dirt on it. And in addition, we come back over here, we can see that these are the light color as well. So what's happening here? Why is that happening? Well, it's a function of these texture sets once again. So recall that when we first baked, even though the vehicle was the only thing visible, we had another texture set selected and it wanted to do the bake for that texture set. In a similar way, even though we have the vehicle selected here and it's the only thing visible, it's still baking the textures as if these things are visible in the viewport. It bakes the textures across all the texture sets. So it's assuming that these things are still here. And that's why we've got that ambient occlusion in here, and that's why we've got the dirt being put in there as well. So how do we make all of these shock absorbers look the same? We're doing this in kind of a strange way, bringing in one wheel here, and it's making this area look a little different. So how do we adjust that? How do we fix that? Well, it's in the texture bake process that this happens. So what let's do is let's go back over here to the texture set settings, click on the bake mesh maps here. And in here, if we go down to ambient occlusion, we've been in this common parameters area here, but if we click on ambient occlusion, we can go down to the settings that just deal with the ambient occlusion. And down here, we've got this self-occlusion. And currently, it's set to always, and that looks across all texture sets when baking the ambient occlusion. Now, we can pull this down and choose only same mesh name. And what that will do is when we select the vehicle, it's only going to bake the textures for that vehicle. Or I should say it's only going to bake the ambient occlusion for that vehicle. Other textures will still bake across the texture sets, but ambient occlusion will stick with just the one we've selected. So let's try that again and see how that works. I'll click Bake Vehicle Mesh Maps, and there it goes. Now, what I also wanted to show you here is that even though we've got some materials and textures in here in our layer stack already, it's going to go ahead and redo all of the bakes and then reapply all of our textures to that. So rebaking isn't going to hurt your textures that you've already put on here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'll come back when this is all done. All right, the bake is done. Let's go ahead and click OK, and there we go. Now we can see these shock absorbers are pretty much the same color all the way around, and that's what we want. Yeah, so you can adjust for the, well, what I would call kind of quirkiness of the texture sets when you do the baking. But anyway, what can we work on here? Well, we could work on these things right in here. Let's take a look at these. I think if I recall, these are kind of a black rubber plastic type of material. Let's work on that. If I create a new group here, a new folder, and we'll call this door handles. Let's see if we can find a black rubber in here. Let me type in rubber. We've got plastic skin grain. We've got rubber vulcanized raw. That looks pretty good, actually. That might work. Let's drag that in. And it's going to apply it to the entire thing, so we don't want that. Let's right-click on the folder, on the group. We'll choose Add Mask with Color Selection. Go back to our Properties tab here. Choose Pick Color. And let's grab that yellow right there. There we go. Well, that looks pretty good right as is. I might just leave that like that. That looks pretty good. Let me go around to the other side here. Yeah, I kind of like that. All right. Well, what about these things back here? The rear fenders, those were kind of a black rubber as well. Can we just use the same ones? Oh, I moved this out of the folder here, so let me take away that color selection again. And I'm also going to remove the mask here. And then I'm going to take this and move it into this folder here. Okay. So now what I want to do is be sure and do the color selection to the folder and not the material. So I'll right click once again, add color selection, pick color. We'll grab that handle again. There we go. So this is the way we want it. We want it within that group. Okay, so let's select that group and let's add another one right here. We'll call this rear fenders. And let's add this same material, but let's change it just a bit once we do. So I'm going to try and get it right in that group there again. There we go. And then select this group and right click, add mask with color selection, pick color, and we'll grab that blue there. Okay, so we have that same material on there, but let's try and adjust it a little differently. So I'll select the material itself right here. And then let's come down here and let's take a look at what kind of parameters, what kind of settings we can play with here. We've got age. I wonder what age would do. Let's give this a trial. Bring this up some. Not a lot. It really doesn't do a whole lot for us. We can reduce the roughness. That makes it a little bit shinier. We can increase the roughness. That makes it a little bit duller. And there we go. We're beginning to see some of that age there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We also have these presets. We could take a look at these. Clean, blue rubber, gray rubber, brown. Yeah, I think I like it the way we have it here. All right, let's take a look at something else. How about the windows here? These windows, remember, we want to be kind of a dark, shiny color so you can't see into them, as opposed to up here where we're going to create the material in Unity so we can see through them. But for these, I think I'm going to begin with a plastic. Let's type in plastic here. And we've got this plastic glossy. Let's see if this will work. It's a strange blue color, but we can change that. Let's select this folder, and I'll add a new folder on top. We'll call this Windows. And we'll take this plastic gloss and drop it on that group. We'll then add a color selection mask to that. Choose pick color, and we'll click on the red right here. Okay, so now we've got this. That's not quite what we want, is it? So let's select the plastic material here. Click on the base color. I think I wanted it kind of a pretty dark blue. I kind of feel like maybe we need to sample that color just to get it a little bit better. Oh, that's not bad. Let me do that. That's kind of what I was looking for there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we've got a bit of a shine to it, and that's good. We could add a little bit of dirt to that. We could come over here and click on the material, right-click, and add a black mask again. And then we could right-click on the black mask and choose Add Generator. And then we could add just a fill layer in here and add a color again. In fact, we could even grab that color from the vehicle. Let's take a look here. If we come down here to this fill layer here that we used for the dirt, we could right-click, copy the layer, and then we could go back up to the Windows group, select that glossy, plastic glossy, and we could paste here. We may have to move this around a bit. Let's drag it down here. And with this generator, we need to select that and add a type of generator. So let's click on that, choose the dirt, and then we want to invert our selection here, or invert the way this is happening. We want the window to be the main thing and the dirt to be the secondary thing. So we can come over here to invert and turn that on. And there we go. Now we've got our windows with a bit of dirt on them. That's pretty good. I think that's maybe a little bit too much dirt, at least for me. I'm going to bring this down a bit. There we go. Something like that. Just a little bit of dirt is all I really want. All right, that's pretty good. I feel like they're a little bit too shiny. So what we can do is go back to that original material right here, and we can bring up the roughness. So if we click here and drag that up, that'll make it so it's not quite as shiny. If I bring that up some and then hold the shift key and right click and drag, we can move that light around to see a little bit better. Yeah, so there we go. Got our dirty windows on there. All right, we're moving along. So in the next video, we'll go ahead and work on maybe some of the lights here.